Y'all, I thought I would share how I recently did a back to school PD with the faculty and staff at my school. This was inspired by the book The Wild Card and completely the idea of my vice principal. I had recently come up with my why I teach, and my administrator asked if I would please lead a PD with the faculty and staff so they could also paint a picture of why they teach. Aren't these amazing and so touching? So we spent a good 2 hours working on these. Beforehand, I prepped the supplies. Let me share with you what I laid out. Everybody had a mat board, 8 by 10. It was cheaper than canvas. And what I had on hand, I had condiment cups filled with different colors of paint and tissue paper and maps to be Mod Podged on if desired. The teachers had to come with their why they teach. Printed out was preferred. Let's get started.
The way this whole thing got started was I have a little online virtual book club that I do with a bunch of other art teachers. And we just so happened to be reading The Wild Card this summer. And while we were reading it, we got to the part that you all were supposed to have read last night, which is all about, like, what is your why? And when I read that part in the book, I was like, holy cow, I don't know why I'm here. Like, I don't know why I'm in here. Because when I got my ed degree, when I was in college, I was getting a painting degree. And my parents, who were thankfully paying for my college education, they were like, okay, you're not going to go to school for the next 5 years and paint in a studio, as lovely as that may sound. You should probably also get something practical, an ed degree. And I was like, okay, so that became my why. Why am I getting an ed degree? Because I want this painting degree. So fast forward 20 years later, that's not why I'm here. I now don't paint and I don't sell my artwork. I come here every day to help kids be creative. And that's my why. But having read that part in the book, I was like, I've never really put any thought into that, into why I'm here. And when I mentioned that in my little book club, thank goodness, people were like, oh yeah, I've never really thought about that either. So thank goodness I wasn't alone in that. And so we all started talking about coming up with our why. And then I thought it would be good to put it in kid-friendly terms. So it was something that could be hung in our art room so the kids could read, see it, read it, comprehend it. So my why is right over there. Keep in mind, I do have a painting degree, so it does look mighty fine. I'm here to help you become the masterpiece I know you are. So that's my why. So today, what we're going to do is start off by painting our background. Now, when we paint our background, I know it can be a little bit stressful, and I know right now some of you might, just maybe a little bit, be thinking of all the things that you could be doing right now. And it's true, because there's a lot better things that you could be doing right now. Not better. But if you keep that at the forefront of your mind, you're not going to have a good time, and your painting's going to reflect it. But if you just throw that out the window and keep fun at the forefront of your mind, I think you will have fun. And I think your painting will reflect that. So, with that in mind, we're going to cover a little painting 101. First of all, Caroline, I think, is really the only one who ever comes in here and hangs out. But whenever I play this, it means to stop, and it also means to start. But if you would please designate one brush per color, that we don't have a way to clean our brushes, that way this becomes the pink brush always and forever for today. Does that make sense?
What if we don't have pastels?
Tough. So what I want you to do right now is just grab a paintbrush and pick it up. I don't care if it's got a mouse on it or not. Let me see your paintbrush. Hold it up like how you plan to hold a brush. Okay, first things first, if you're right now holding your paintbrush like a pencil, and you are all clinched up right here at the bottom, then that's probably how you're going to end up painting. You're going to get finger fatigue, and your painting's going to end up being a little bit tight. So this is going to feel a little unnatural, but I want you to scoot your fingers back to the end of your brush, let your fingers relax, and then just kind of twirl your brush around almost like a pendulum, because we're going to be painting lots of circles today. Hold it vertical, and I'm going to tell you what I tell the kids. Your paintbrush is like a ballerina. She's always on her tippy toes. she never ever scoots around on her bottom because don't nobody want to go to the booty scooting ballet. One more time for the people in the back. You're going to designate a color per brush. Put the brush on the tray. Put your name on the back of your board. Flip your board back over to the white side, and then send it. I want you to take a paintbrush, and I want you to use any color you want, and I want you to paint a very, very small dot anywhere you want to on your canvas.
I don't want that.
Too bad. I want you to now stand up in tray places, moving one spot to the right and sit.
What? I haven't painted my guy.
I just
So yeah, I kept the whole we're going to be painting on each other's boards under my hat. They did not see that coming. Some of them, in fact, came with an idea of what they were going to paint, and that quickly went out the window. But this really loosened everybody up. Let me share with you the directions that I gave. Start by painting a dot, move places, and then they had to grab another color brush, painting on their friend's board, and paint a slightly bigger dot. Move a place, grab another brush. On this third board, they were to paint a slightly larger one. And moving on to the next spot, so there was a lot of moving around, which kept everything really active and fun. Paint a slightly larger dot. Now, this activity is directly from Art Workshops for Kids, and it's a fantastic book. I cannot recommend it enough. So this whole method of slapping dots on a canvas, this was not my own, but I'm so glad that I decided to give it a go. It really loosened everybody up, and it made it so that people weren't stressed about painting just on their board. When they got back to their seat, they kind of had to deal with what they had. So, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Bubbles was what was next. Then paint circles around your dots, dots inside your circles. Move a spot, and eventually they end up back in their own seat. When they end up back in their own seat, their goal is to pretty much get rid of all of the white spots. Basically what we tell our students. Doing that with lines, spirals, more dots, zigzag lines, whatever they desired, so long as their board was filled with beautiful colors, different lines, and different kinds of shapes. So they did really well. And, it was a really loud and rambunctious kind of group. But when everybody went back to their seats and they were looking at their board and they were painting on them, you could have heard a pin drop. They were really into their painting and really into making it look beautiful. And that was really exciting for me to see. I'm kind of stoked about doing a similar project with my students, but I will definitely keep you posted on that.
So now you're back in your ritual spot, and your goal now is to kind of fill in your white spots, so you can do that whatever way you like, with whatever colors you want. But when I was filling in my white spots, this is what I did. I like to use stripes, so I would just use a series of maybe vertical stripes. Maybe switch my canvas, turn it around, it doesn't matter which way it goes, maybe some horizontal stripes. You could then go back with a different color and maybe make a pattern of stripes, but your goal is to kind of eliminate your white areas using a variety of colors. So you're just using stripes. If you want to even just get fancy and do some spiraling somewhere, I'm going to throw an idea out there for you, but you don't have to do it. So in a moment, you're going to get a basket on your table, and the basket is filled with tissue paper of different colors with polka dots. And there's also pieces of maps from different states. If you would like to, what I like to do is use this tissue paper to just kind of fill in my blank spots. I tear it into smaller pieces. Doesn't have to even be a specific shape. I don't want to get out scissors. I'm lazy. Just tear it. Inside this basket will also be Mod Podge.
What is that now?
It's like a
Mod Podge.
Mod Podge. Mod Podge. Mod Podge. If you've never used Mod Podge before, all you have to do is, and you might want to check and see if it's a dry-ish place in your canvas, which you can tell because the paint's not shiny anymore. Paint a little bit of Mod Podge, put the tissue on top. Your first option would be, and it looks like you guys have already got it sorted out, would be number one, to just write it on the board. If you are comfortable with like your handwriting skills and you want to go for that, I have rulers if you want to make your words like nice and level, and I have
Old English.
somewhere on the table. I have calligraphy paint. Like if you want to try your hand at like different fonts and styles, I have these for the tables if you're interested. That's probably like the toughest option.
Yeah.
The second option would be, this is probably the easiest one, is to do what these friends have already done, which I pick up their boards unless, have you Mod Podged already? No. Okay. So it would be to kind of cut it out scrapbook style. Heather cut hers out, or did you tear the edge?
I used a paper cutter and made straight lines.
Ladies, didn't you do yours kind of zig?
She
with
did
the-
fancy scissors.
Okay.
You got funky monkey, fancy scissors, there's straight scissors. You can cut out the word or the strip, or like serial killer style, like I mentioned, letter by letter. So that's probably the easiest. And then you're just gonna do the Mod Podge thing, where you Mod Podge, put your strip down, and then Mod Podge right over it. Then your last, I mean not last, but your other option is this. So let's say you've got yours printed, and you really want just your words, but your painted background to show through. You don't want the paper on there. So you would take your printout, if you've made one, and then get a sheet of carbon paper. You're gonna lay it like that. Then using your pencil that's on the table. If you've never used carbon paper before, it's got two sides.
Like the old timey.
Well, it is. I mean, you all see how old this is.
Love it.
I actually said it had two sides. I'm used to it having two sides. One side's gonna be super shiny, that's the inky side. And then the other side is kind of like a map. You want the inky side down, but you don't wanna like put your hand on it and roll it, because then the ink is gonna show up. Take this, set it on top. If it makes you feel better about your life choices to have a little piece of tape, I can get you some tape so it's not like all wiggling. Take your pencil and then just trace over your words. When you take it off, there'll be like a little ghost image of what you've written, and then you can just trace over your words with a sharps. So 3 choices. Freestyle it. If you don't know what I mean by Mod Podge, you should take a look at Heather and this table right here. Or you can do the carbon copy.
So again, the 3 options were to kind of freehand it, drawing with a pencil first, going over it with a Sharpie, which is kind of what this person did. Use the carbon paper. Sometimes the carbon paper left a little bit of marks on the board. And then this person also freehanded it, I believe. But after you use the carbon paper, you simply take it off and trace over your letters with a Sharpie. That's what my vice principal did, which is this one is hers right here. The easiest way is to simply have it printed out, cut it, and Mod Podge it down. And that really, having those kind of options made it so everybody was successful, everybody's looked great, and everybody was kind of comfortable doing it. Folks were so proud of their Ys. Our goal as a school is for me to track down some frames and get them framed and hung outside of the teachers' doors, which I think will be super special and amazing. If you decide to do a PD like this at your school, please make sure that you give me a little bit of a shout out. Let folks know where you got the idea from so they can also do it at their schools. Thanks, guys.